picks and bans been a bit changed with the fact the patch came through now, and it's day 2 of the Pro League this week, basically. So we saw, you know, Thursday, now it's Saturday. Do we expect anything that may have risen that no one's noticed yet?
Just the bracer in particular. We've already seen it being utilized by Twig earlier today, and it's such a strong active right now that I can see a lot of teams still looking for that. And right now, it's going to be fairly conventional bans coming out from both sides. Yeah,
Cyrus Kernanos, a little bit suspect by that one. We've not seen too many Kernanos bans just lately. But the Fafnir and Bellona, pretty standard. Burrito will lock in Nemesis. Terra's available here for NRG if they would like it.
That's a pretty early Nemesis selection as well. So I think that Burrito are trying to take the initiative to sort of deter NRG from the tankier compositions that we're used to seeing teams try and go for.
Well, Ganesh has been locked in. We'll see if Rafa takes it to the support role. All we do is see it in solo lane. I still think it's a support. I've not seen too much of it in solo so far. Wave clear's okay, I guess, but I don't know.
I feel as though Rafa especially would be such a strong factor on the Ganesh. The silence is so deadly on that god, and excellent at turning away a Nemesis in particular from trying to get off their kit after using that ultimate.
Well, Wave clear in the mid lane going to be a bit stronger with the Isis, although susceptible to ganks and pressure because she's a squishy mage in that mid lane, and immediately adapting to go lock in Circuit in response.
That Circuit pick is a pretty scary one, especially knowing that it's adapting who's piloting it. And when you're running a Terra Isis, that's a decent bit of sustain, and I would imagine that the Isis is going to be the focal point for NRG here.
And the one thing with a Circuit as well, it does limit Terra's ultimate coming into play too, because you don't get the heal from it. Obviously you get the mobility, but you're not going to be able to regenerate at all. The tick damage coming through from Circuit and her ultimate reducing healing by 100% means it's going to be awkward if you get hit by that at the same time.
Timing is going to be so key for Burrito, because if they're off the mark even the slightest bit with Terra or Isis ultimates, Circuit's probably going to 100-0 either of them, and then they're looking to be in a really awkward position because their draft is so team dependent, and locking in the Medusa just confirms it that they are looking for the team fight aggression and the all-in burst potential between that Isis Nemesis Medusa combo.
Now Nike Terra a little bit flexible here. Could see Nike in the support role. We've seen it before, but I'm not sure if we're going to see it in this meta in the support role here, so more than likely Terra support?
I think I would prefer to see Terra support purely because of the fact that Nike is probably going to fare a little bit better in that solo lane. While you have the global presence from Terra due to the ultimate in the solo lane, I just think that it's not going to be fully utilized in comparison to having just that tankier sort of, I guess, stopping adapting from trying to do adapting things, really.
Okay. Well, Amaterasu also locked in here for NRG. That could be flexible as well if Ganesha does go in the solo lane. But Dimmy likes his Amaterasu. He likes to farm under the tower pretty much most of the game. He'll probably be doing a little bit of that up against the Nike and the wave clear she'll have early on.
Dimmy is so good on Amaterasu. I would 100% prefer to see him on it, and it is going to be Dimmy with the Amma in the solo lane. And 4 members of NRG kind of just poking around against Burrito, trying to make sure that nothing fishy is going to be happening here.
Interestingly enough, Raph is starting off with the bracer of undoing here in the support role on that Ganesha. Very, you know, he's focused on yourself. That it's a greedy relic for yourself, and a support getting a greedy relic for themselves isn't something we see too often.
And I mean, greed, he's also got the Boombas on top of it.
Yeah.
So he's looking to just try and secure some farm early on with Emilito, I'd imagine.
Surprisingly enough, Rafa, no mana potions this time either. Just started off with the health option. So just looking to sustain up, use his abilities wisely. But here comes an invade from NRG, trying to deny Burrito, doing their red buff mid lane. Wait, what's going on? Double kill away with Burrito. Hello? Lag? What's going on?
And Burrito already starting things off and showing the deadliness between the Isis and Nemesis. Johnny's poked out, but I mean, what a start for Burrito.
I'd say we'll get replays of that at the end of the set, I'm sure, to find out what happened in that mid lane. 2 quick kills going the way of Burrito. What a great start for an Isis Nemesis too. Nemesis got the first kill and then Death Panther got the second, I believe, or was it the other way around?
It was, I believe, exactly how you said. Looking at the net worth, you can see that it was, in fact, the Isis who managed to maintain that first blood gold, but what a bounty. And for these 2 gods in particular, that is best case scenario.
Well, now they've got to do is farm up and try and exploit this a little bit further now. They've got the speed buff for themselves. Obviously, they didn't manage to deny NRG Esports getting their own here because they went for the safer option. They'll be happy with the first 2 kills of the game as Fusify and Kaspanify don't end up losing too much of their jungle there, because it looks like NRG playing it safe, knowing that Isis and Nemesis had control of mid lane. Gonna just go for these oracles instead.
I like this choice by NRG to just secure the oracles. It's a decent bit of farm for them to lock in for themselves. Plus, having that ward vision early on, especially against a team that's probably going to be hitting 5 before your own jungle in mid, always smart.
So what do you want to see coming out of Johnny now? That he's got that kill under his belt, he should be hitting level 5 a little bit quicker than adapting. Should be looking for early on ganks from this Nemesis to try and slow down what adapting can really do when he hits 5, or should he just be waiting for adapting?
Aggression onto Dimmy is primarily what I would like to see from Johnny, because that is probably the best lane for a Nemesis to gank. It's an Amaterasu. The ultimate's going to be super effective.
Sure.
Plus, I would normally say look at the support, but Raffer with that bracer, I think is really going to prevent a lot of the aggression potential onto him.
Raffer rolled in for the charge there, didn't find it. Amelito follows up though. Nice little poke onto Hispanify, forcing back both him and Fusify in this lane a little bit more. Very respectful from Burrito though, just to realize that, you know, they're not going to be scared energy here at all to try and fight in this lane.
And you can tell just how terrifying a red buff ADC can be, and that's exactly why you want to give your hunter the red at the start of the game. Those in-hand autos just completely chunk away. They stack up pretty easily.
Well, you saw both the junglers head over to the solo lane there for a moment, adapting, pretty much just looking for the farm if he could find it to hit level 5, whereas Johnny just making sure adapting didn't get anything extra out of that attempt to get some farm in the solo lane, maybe gank onto Sibby. Duo lane still going at it though, level 4s for NRG Esports here, looking to try and use that extra ability level advantage, the extra health they've got, but Hispanify and Fusify not too far behind.
Hispanify and Fusify have a pretty solid counter engage as well for NRG. With the way that Raffer's already been playing this Ganesh, you can kind of expect him to look for that sudden burst of aggression and try and catch them off guard with the silence and just the hold on the dash. So I think that they definitely need to be careful for Burrito to not get out of position.
Well, Death Panther in the mid lane on the Isis. Already finished off his boots, as has Johnny. And that's a nice little leader they've got above Yamin and adapting right now. His full boots, obviously, bit of extra power, bit of extra movement speed in most cases. Sets them up quite nicely for a bit more faster rotations.
Not to mention that, I mean, adapting speeds are back up now, but if they can keep forcing out those actives from NRG, then I think that they have a pretty decent composition, at least for continuous early aggression.
Speed buff about to come up here for NRG Esports. Burrito doing their own speed at the moment, and I kind of like the pace in Burrito's not really gone overly aggressive just yet. Yeah, they did have a lead, but you are against the former world champions here. If you make a mistake with a composition that's pretty much better on counter-engaging rather than fully engaging, it's kind of okay to just sit back for the moment and just rest on your laurels for a second, not too long, because otherwise NRG could exploit that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just all about the timing, and for Burrito, I really love what they're doing, because if they're controlling the pacing, then that makes things a lot more awkward for NRG. And Burrito, they've seen it happen to so many teams before them. Hopefully they've taken that knowledge from being able to watch NRG's past performances and knowing, hey, we should not over-aggress here.
Look at this frenzy. Gold Fury gain low circle protection down. This is why you pick Ices. The burst isn't good enough. Gold Fury still goes to Burrito though. But my oh my, Death Panther maybe put that too early, just put it down too soon. Luckily enough, NRG were not there to respond. Burrito continued to extend their lead.
Yeah, it was only Raffer there trying to contest, and with his ultimate, he has a pretty decent chance at contesting those objectives, but very smart play by Burrito still.
Oh, Fusey find a bit of trouble, silenced out by Raffer with the ultimate coming in too, followed by the circuit. It cost him a couple, but it was worthwhile. NRG was just trying to find some scraps, if anything, in the jungle that they could potentially take and cause an issue for Burrito after losing the Gold Fury. Not only did they get the purple buff, but they pick up Fusify too. That's
kind of unfortunate for Burrito, though. Fusify, I think, got a little bit greedy there, trying to secure his... He was looking to secure his purple buff.
Thought for a second, Sibby might be in a bit of trouble if Dimmy decided to go aggressive there. Obviously, ultimate was available for both of them. Could have been an opportunity for Dimmy to try and force Sibby's ultimate, but it would have just been a trade, I guess.
I don't think that Dimmy wants to go all in just yet, because he had in mind that, you know, you never know when Johnny's going to be looking to make that rotation. He was already there for the blue buff, kind of lingering in the area. So I like the decision, because that slow from Sibby's ultimate can buy a lot of time.
It really can, and it's just the shield, because you don't want to put more damage into somebody who's got the shield on that's only going to be there temporarily. It's one of the reasons Geb's so good with those shields, is they cause so many problems for the opposition to just waste damage onto it. Fusify now level 6. Those low-nose mask stacks are starting to get along now. Surprisingly enough, though, he went for the cooldown boots option.
And I'm not too surprised to see the cooldown boots, because I actually like the idea of a Terra being able to not necessarily have the ultimate available more often, but it's just the clap. That stun is so great for team setup.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than getting the clap, that's for sure. Causes a lot of problems for you. But we have seen the support zone moving away from Traveler shoes. You can see Rafa going more for the reinforced greaves. We see this a little bit more often now in boot selections from support players. It's not all about Traveler shoes anymore, which it used to be. The extra mobility, the extra HP 5 as well as the bonus gold bounties for every time you hit an enemy.
I think that teams with overall have just learned how to farm better and hold that thought. It could be Rafa getting aggressed on.
He is in trouble.
It is the ultimate.
There's a great use of the brace of undoing to get him away. Johnny's still giving chase though, trying to close him down the slope, causing a problem for him. Rafa still falls, but meanwhile it's adapting that was causing distraction on the backside. He could be in trouble too, running the wrong way from his team. And in the end, Fusify will end up picking up the kill. Not the choice that they would really want to give that over to Terra, but a kill's a kill at the end of the day. 2 members dead of NRG Esports. They can get the elementals and the speed buff from NRG's jungle. What a great start to the game for Burrito here.
Adapting's crying right now, losing that speed buff, and it looks like Dimmy is going to be in a similar situation, dropping his blue as well. And Fusify getting to pick up that blue buff, that's going to be another 10% CDR added to his kit.
And this lead, as you can see by the experience in gold, they're just slowly climbing every so often in favor of Burrito. 2,000 gold early on isn't too bad. 1,200 gold early on isn't too bad. All they've got to do is just keep this up. If anything, just consistently find these potential picks, turn them into an objective, and keep an eye on this next goal Fury that's due to spawn in a minute and a half, because I think NRG need to be very aware that last time round, that's what Burrito's play was. Use this Isis with the girdle and then cause a lot of issues for the enemy team.
I think that's why we saw NRG trying to get the timers of those oracles so early on. It's because they wanted to have that secure, to not have to worry as much about warding that area, to know when Burrito are looking to lock it down. That's what we've seen so often from these Isis compositions. They've just looked for that early objective control. What Burrito need to do is establish that lead, because unfortunately the thing about Isis is, while it's great for locking down those objectives, eventually team fight does come into play. And if you're using such a massive burst ult to secure the objective, you're not going to have that for that team fight. And I think that's what NRG is probably going to try and wait this out for.
Talking about those gold furies as well, Portal Demon is about to spawn in a minute's time too, so it's another objective available for some pressure for Burrito to look towards if NRG are going to continue to keep an eye on this gold fury. The experience lead right now is all on Johnny, Death Panther, and Sibi. And up against Dimmy, Adapting, and Yami, you can see there's just a little bit of a level difference between the two of them, although Yamin and Dimmy doing a good job of trying to keep even keel.
And you can see the two separate builds between the ADCs. You've got Caspanify, who's opting into the standard Transcendence, but then you have Emilito, who's kind of going with the bootleg Transcendence. At least that's what I prefer to call it, because it gives you a similar power spike. It's just it's got a different utility.
So you lose a little bit of power off it, I guess, but at the same time, what you do get a little bit more survivability. So that's kind of the trade-off there. Less regeneration, I guess, as well, when you think about the fact you get mono regen from the Transcendence, whereas you don't necessarily need Transcendence on a Rama anyway.
You don't really need it on a ROM.
That's true.
At all. Like, most people would prefer to not buy it unless you're maybe at Araxia, but I still think that it has its usages.
Death Panther's made a bit of a mistake here, and he's been forced into an awkward spot. The follow-up from Yamin is good, but in the circle of protection, the burst is onto Rafa. Rafa's still alive, but Brace of Undoing saves him. Emilito, meanwhile, snipes out Death Panther in the backlines, and it was Death Panther just choosing to poke in an awkward spot without support.
And that's the danger of going into those narrow jungle corridors against a comp like NRG's. You've got Adapting, who can so readily jump into that backline, and when the Isis ultimate's already expended, that's all that he had to wait for. Luckily
enough, though, there's no extra window here for NRG to try and look for more aggression. Yes, they found that pick onto Death Panther, but it could have caused them a lot more problems there if the fight would have continued. I think NRG could have taken a few more lives just of how much they wasted with Death Panther using the ult on himself.
And that was fairly well played by him, dropping his ultimate on top of the Ganesh ultimate from Rafa, just to buy himself some more time, because granted, Adapting was still able to help clean him up with Emilito, but I think that if it hadn't been for Emil being up in the air, it might have been a potential turn by Burrito.
Well, he's also looking at Death Panther, sorry, Rafa as well with that Bracer of Undoing, because without that Bracer of Undoing, he probably would have fallen down before Death Panther there. He got very low indeed. But maybe that's the sign of the future. Support's starting to get a little bit more survivability early. Base stuff going for something that will regenerate them after taking a heavy load of burst.
And you've got Dimmy, who's also opting into this Bracer as well. So there's going to be a ton of bait out potential by NRG.
It's not just the fact it heals you up after you take a lot of poke. It's also the fact it does reduce your cooldowns a little bit too, which can be very beneficial. Old school players will remember Purification Beads doing that once upon a time. The good old days.
The good old days. I miss those days.
I don't.
Yeah.
Beads and 3 seconds? Jeez.
Those are, I mean,
Jeez.
it was evil, but it was awesome at the same time.
Well, aggression from Burrito on the left-hand side, looking to pressure Emelito and Rafa. By doing this, though, they're losing a wave on the left-hand side, but it's paid for in bursting Rafa so very quickly. No response from NRG just yet. Right-hand side, though, Manjul going on. Dimmy sustaining back up with Brace of Undoing. And Sibby doesn't like this anymore, so he's going to back up.
And I like the choice by Sibby to just back off, and it's actually going to be NRG who steals the Gold Fury away from Burrito.
Yeah, good work coming out there. Fingers showed Death Panther once again, missed time the ultimate. We didn't catch it on screen, unfortunately, because we were looking at the solo lane fight, but Gold Fury going the way of NRG. That kind of makes it that Burrito's hard work in this early game is now nullified, almost back to even again.
I think that Burrito, that was a serious misplay. A little bit too much commitment and trying to focus too much onto...
Fusify, lazy backing, gets caught by adapting, all in by adapting too. Fusify very low on mana, but not low enough to be able to dash away to safety. Surprised by the full commit there, knowing that Emelito didn't have much in the terms of follow-up.
I think that he was hoping Emil might have had some Astro Arrows to help slow him down, or he might have been just trying to bait out Fusify's active, but unfortunately it just doesn't tend to work out.
Didn't work out at all, unfortunately. Obviously, Fusify at the moment with that full Thebes online too, so a little bit tankier than he may have been expecting to be. Portal Demon's available here, and I think Burrito are looking for this, knowing that they just lost the Gold Fury. Maybe they can sneak this one away, but it smells like NRG know what's up as well.
They've got a ward already on this, and now I don't think that this is a fight that Burrito really want to be taking. It's kind of risky. The commit potential is there, though.
Yeah, he's going to be forced to reset for a second now. Portal Demon starting to regen. Burrito clearly de-warding here around the Portal Demon. And even both Hunters were slowly making their way over towards this mid lane in case they were required too. Very interesting stage of the game to see that Portal Demon contest so early.
And I mean, I'm not against that mindset from Burrito. You want to look for as many early objectives as possible when you've got the ISIS on your side, because this is the stage where ISIS prospers. However, after losing the Gold Fury, it's already starting to show that if the execution isn't there and then you expend your ISIS ultimate trying to lock that down and it's stolen anyway, that's kind of rough.
Always the tricky situation with the ISIS. You want it there for the team fight with the protections, but you also want it there for the burst on objective control. Death Panther on the right-hand side here, grouped up with Fusify in the mid lane, looking to pressure out and get some wards down again near those right-hand harpies. Sibby going to get his blue buff now, level 15. Dimmy's still keeping track, though, at level 15 himself. And adapting and Yamin have actually now started to out-farm Burrito's mid and jungle, respectively.
And that's kind of just what you expect from NRG, especially after they're able to secure that Gold Fury. I think it just gave NRG an earlier bounce back than what they were initially looking at. So Burrito aren't out of this yet by any means. I don't want it to sound like it's harsh against them, but I just think that they're going to have to be a lot more careful with choosing when to engage.
Always scary going against NRG, though, because you can look at the team and go, okay, so adapting's behind, died a couple of times. Yamin died a couple of times too. So is Rafa. Well, there's still two other members on that team that are still threats as well. Dimmy and Emelito, who's on 2 kills already in this game. Picked up both of them so far. Silent Deadly Rama is the worst kind of Rama to have to face.
And now it's also incredibly hard for Johnny to look at Dimmy in that solo lane side, because Dimmy's a fairly speedy Amaterasu. When you combine that with the Bracer and the ultimate from Dimmy, that's incredibly hard to lock down.
Well, 3 versus 3 in the mid lane for the time being. Gold Fury down for another minute and a half. And I'm pretty sure we'll see some contests around that once more. Wave clear advantage to Burrito for the time being. Nothing really up in the jungle for them to farm other than the right and harpies, where we could see a bit of an engage.
Burrito are itching to try and secure this Portal Demon, because securing the Portal Demon right now means that it leaves the Gold Fury completely exposed.
True, true. If they can get the Portal Demon out ahead of time, that means the Gold Fury will be a full fight. Here we go. With Caspanify rotating over on this Medusa, they're going to start this up. Emelito's making his rotation towards the mid lane, has that Rama in for the snipes, but he won't even be able to get there in time before the burst is good and Burrito get the Portal Demon. Fusify will go down in trade, though, as Sibby leaps away to live to fight another day. Emelito trying to punish Death Panther in the mid lane. Beads down, single protection down. Aegis used by Emelito after his beads as well, but he's still looking for the kill with the snipes.
And he might be able to find it. The last one, he's waiting, he's holding it. It's is just off the mark.
Meanwhile, on the backside, you see the commitment from Johnny trying to put some pressure onto the NRG boys. Adapting, meanwhile, did swing around the back and pick up Death Panther. So NRG have 4 members strong, 2 hunters, remember, 2 basic attackers anyway. Swinging away on the Talar as Rafa looking to silence them out. Nice Petrify from Kaspanify, only hitting Dimmy and Rafa. Round the corner, though, comes Johnny looking to clean up the kills. Talk about clean up kills, though. It's all adapting once again in the backline, stripping away the low health targets.
And now Johnny's got nowhere left to go. He can't even look to find that last little tick onto Dimmy. Cooldown's completely expended. Emilito is going to clean him up, and now it's Fusify in the midst of 5.
1 by 1. They're just going to go down like ducks deicide. The way of NRG Esports there. Yes, the Portal Demon went the way of Burrito, but that fight and that gold lead and that experience lead all just came from that one engagement after.
And it might only look like 1k gold in the lead for NRG, but like you just said, it is the experience which is to know, and almost 5k difference. That's insane.
And just one fight. That's how crazy that team fight was really overall. It wasn't really a team fight. It was a sporadic fight, if anything. You saw Burrito trying to defend the tier 1 tower to the best of their ability. They lose that, and then multiple members were trying to limp away on low health. Because of the respawn timers, this is going to get worse for Burrito, because NRG had enough time to just secure a goal here in the Oracles. Left-hand Harpies, right-hand Harpies. Just pick your poison. They just lost so much.
I think Burrito just got a little bit too stubborn underneath that T1 tower. As soon as Death Panther, it was obvious the commit was coming from NRG onto Death Panther. Once you had Emil going up in the air, he wasn't able to lock it down. But when there's a Circuit on the enemy team, no kill is ever out of the danger zone.
Credit where it's due, though, to what Emilito did in that fight, because realistically, that was a really risky play. He burnt his beads to avoid the Spirit Ball to keep aggressing. He was taking tower shots. He also burnt his Aegis to survive the Circle of Protection all-in combo, then takes to the sky and commits every single one of his survivability options to try and kill Death Panther. He doesn't do it, but in the end, it does set Adaption up to be able to do that.
And that's kind of the beauty of Shifters. I think that Shifters definitely helped him out right there. It gave him the protections that he needed, I believe, when he started getting into that low health threshold. And because of that, I mean, granted, he also bought his team time to respond and rotate over to him in that mid lane. And as Burrito was trying to hold on to that T1 tower, they kind of lost sight, I think, of the fact that Death Panther died. They felt as though they could still potentially contest, and you just can't contest.
Emilito rolling in the mid lane again onto Death Panther, who gets blinked on by adapting. Ultimate is down, but it's too little too late. Dimmy credit with a kill. In comes Sibby looking for a big ultimate and gets it, slowing multiple targets. Johnny following up, looking for Yamin, but the Disappare is going to get him away from the danger. Dimmy dancing inside the Dharmic pillars to buy himself time and get NRG to reset once more. Round the corner though, keep an eye on adapting, looking to come in one more time. Thinking about the option as NRG continuing to pressure. Emilito slowly knocking them down with the slows from the Astral Arrows, just poking away at Fusify, and he's dropping very, very low.
And they were going to look to Gress on this, no doubt in my mind. Emilito's shots are just off the mark again on the Fusify, but it doesn't matter. He's still able to pick up Johnny, and now Yamin, he's going ham underneath that T2.
Oh, it's all gone wrong. Fusify's one hit from death. Emilito happy to tank the tower shot to make sure Fusify dies. Tier 2 falls. The giggles come out from NRG Esports. Can they get the Phoenix here, Taco?
Wow.
I said
really?
I said tur.
Are you serious?
Listen, it's T and T. It's the same
We
thing.
don't even look the same.
Listen, I've got 3 T's on the team. Tom, Toli, Taco, okay? As long as it says tur, one of you should answer. So, can they get the Phoenix? All you had to say was yes. I apologize.
It's already happened.
I apologize for saying Toli.
Old man Hindu already forgetting.
No, I'm not forgetting. I just want to. I like working with better casters. That's all.
You're gonna say Toli's better?
I did.
Not in the playtest.
Oh, that's in game though. That's in game. 12-5. Phoenix down in mid lane. No fire giants so far for either team, but the gold lead is starting to stretch. The experience lead, 10k. It doesn't look. The worst thing about this game for me, Taco, is that people are going to see the result at the end of this game potentially and go, "Hang on a second." Typical stump from NRG. Burrito stood no chance, but Burrito led this game at the start for a considerable amount.
I think that NRG had that in consideration, though. They picked a draft that wasn't necessarily going to win the early game, but it was going to have bite-back potential just in case Burrito started to have a little bit of a control and handle on it, which they did. They executed the Isis Nemesis comp to the best of their ability. I mean, when you're able to pick up a double kill such as that against Yemen and adapting, it shows that you're doing something right.
Oh, definitely, and that's where the one thing you'll always find with newer teams coming into the Pro League is their early game's always a lot better than mid-late. Because you play the early game so many times, it's so easy to learn it over and over again. But the mid and late game, things change. Things are much more trickier as time goes on. Burrito started the Portal Demon here. NRG leached it back, and now it's been reset again. Dimmy poking out Johnny, and returning the favor is Johnny. But there's a dominant pillars from Rafanov. Great spot in that channeled narrow corridor. And Sibi's taking a lot more damage than he'd like to get away. He jumps out of the circle of protection. That could be a mistake made. The all-in from adapting is good. Yamin credited with a kill. Pretty sure the poison spread too, which causes more issues for the Burrito members as they have to fall back. NRG fall back, though, for the greater good to look for the Portal Demon.
No, Johnny's got to be careful here. He can't look to contest against the full roster of NRG. It is going to fall back, but it's like you could tell Burrito want to fight into NRG, and I think it's great that they're trying to take that initiative, but there's just no room for mistakes on the side of NRG.
And NRG not going to even go for the Fire Giant here. They're going to abuse the situation in this solo lane, get the tier 1 tower, full minion wave coming. Could start to look for the tier 2 as well. 5 men strong, and Burrito are starting to get towards defending it, but I don't think they're going to be here in time at all, Taco.
There's no way they can defend this. It's already completely shredded. I mean, you've got a Rom, you've got a Soul, and then on top of that, you've got the Amma passive, so it's just, objectives don't stand a chance right now.
A couple of bases coming out from NRG. If not, everybody is going to base eventually. Raph is just going to be the one to stay behind. Make sure nobody from Burrito is going to look for a cheeky Fire Giant attempt. Portal Demon is about to wear off, at least the Portal will, but NRG may be able to utilize it just in time. Oh, they didn't get through. That's a bit of a shame. Otherwise, they could have seen a Fire Giant attempt because Burrito were not ready for that. They think they can get the Gold Fury sneakily, but the bad news is Adapting knows what's up.
They might be able to shred this before Adapting can do anything about it, and so that's a win for Burrito, but now they just need to run for the hills. They cannot afford to stay in this area any longer, and already you can see NRG swinging on over to that Fire Giant side.
Surprised that 3 members committed for that purple buff there, especially with the Fire Giant still being up. Maybe they thought NRG were doing the Fire Giant anyway, and they couldn't contest it. Instead, they're going to get a free Fire Giant because no one's going to be here from Burrito to try and stop this.
I don't think that Burrito were trying to contest the Fire Giant. I think that they kind of just expected NRG to secure this and are just looking to hold off underneath their Phoenixes. Their mid Phoenix should respawn by the next shove from NRG. NRG being aware of this are just going to want to try and apply as much pressure as possible onto either the right or left hand side. It's looking at the right hand side since the T2 is already missing.
Exactly, so go for the Phoenix is definitely better than going for a tier 2 if you can at this moment with the middle Phoenix coming down. Raph is already pressured mid. 4 members strong, NRG on the right. Sibi's the first one there to respond. No minions just yet for NRG though, so they're going to have to backdoor this for the time being. Have to be very careful about positioning with the Terra's Blessing now being on cooldown though. That's why NRG have kind of reset. They've just got that ultimate for free.
And all Yemen has to do is separate every single time, and he's good to go.
Once again though, engagement for NRG. Dimmy going to tank up this Phoenix, look towards Johnny. Happy to be a couple of autos as now Rafa takes over. Sibi jumps in, but Sibi's eating more damage than he wants to. Meanwhile, Caspadify evaporated, and Johnny's running for his life. Adapting, giving chase. Won't be able to get in range. Phoenix on the right-hand side still being sieged. There's no minions here. Great ult from Yamin, though. Good ult from Death Panther in response to keep himself alive. Doesn't get the heal he was after. Phoenix on the right falls. Phoenix in mid falls. NRG, 2 Phoenixes ahead. Fire minions down 2 lanes.
And NRG could have probably even pressed that a little bit further. They chose to back off and disengage. It just shows the discipline in such a veteran squad. And I think that the way that they're handling this game after that start, it's great watching this kind of gameplay come through.
Definitely, and it's been a hard-fought game for NRG, especially after how the start of this game went for them. Shows that they've got the potential to still stay in there amongst it. But I think that's the biggest thing with NRG this year is the start of the games haven't been great. The early game is where they've suffered, and the games they've lost or split is when they've lost in the early game and haven't found a way back in. This is a good thing for NRG to have a game again where they fall behind, but they can catch up and try and make things happen.
I think that's why we see such an early game-oriented comp from Burrito, though, is because
recognizing that.
They recognize that they're vulnerable, they can bleed. They are
human.
They are human, and they can bleed, and we can make them bleed. And so they tried to look for that early on pressure to lock out NRG. It was just that slight mistake, I think, from Fusify getting caught out. It just leads into that kind of dominoes effect. And NRG, all they need is one pick, and they're a machine.
For me, Emelite has been amazing this game. Honestly, he has 5-0-7. Not the highest in the player damage, but I'm pretty sure his structure damage will be pretty good too. Hang on a second, Burrito flanking around the back. NRG a bit out of position here. here, but it's Stibby using the Will to Hurt. Great ultimate coming out there from Hispanify, but he's not going to be able to live much longer. Death Panther's already dead. Emelito going for the snipes, looking to clean up the Medusa. He hits him that time, and now Johnny silenced in place, and the last sniper will hit from him, giving Adapting a kill. NRG looking for the final Phoenix.
Emil is consistently landing at least 2 of the snipes from his ROM ultimate, and the second and third ones are the ones that chunk the hardest. It's very clear just how much damage the squad is doing and working off of each other so well. And now it's going to be the Titan that's the next focal point, and no chance at all.
No chance whatsoever for Burrito to get back in.